Now, the man accused of murdering Charlie Kirk, 22-year-old Taylor Robinson, has faced court for a virtual appearance. He spoke briefly off camera, and a judge approved his request to wear regular clothes in court. So the October 30 hearing has been postponed because lawyers needed more time for discovery and to brief their motions. Now, Taylor Robinson faces a top charge of aggravated murder, which carries the potential death penalty. He's due back in court in January next year. So, Josh, this is the latest development in the case. There's, of course, so much interest in this. We all want justice. And, of course, I think we all want more information about this guy, how on earth he was able to allegedly do this. Josh, you've had to deal with some pretty disgusting and wild accusations from conspiracy theorists. Candace Owens suggested that you had prior knowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination. What's the latest with that? Are you still having to fight off some of these disgusting accusations being thrown at you?
Well, Gabriella, sadly, being accused of such a horrific act by the person who has become, frankly, America's leading, most prominent neo-Nazi propagandist. I mean, it's not fun. It's definitely not an enviable situation to be put in, especially as a Jewish man with a wife and a young family here. You know, Gabriella, there actually was someone who was arrested just about a week ago outside Houston, Texas, who was arrested for issuing death threats online against me and against three other Floridians, my friends, Carol Markowitz, the New York Post, Seth Dillon of Babylon Bee, and Laura Loomer. So this person has been taken into custody. But folks like Candace Owens, they have a large platform despite the demonic garbage that they often spew, and they're able to rile up a lot of people there. So it's not been a particularly fun saga, Gabriella, there. But, you know, fortunately, look, there's something to be said for having the right enemies. And I've always been a firm believer in the notion that you can judge someone not merely by their friends, but by their enemies. Once upon a time, I never would have viewed Candace Owens as an enemy. Once upon a time, Candace Owens was a force for good in this world. She kind of came up, you know, being very friendly with Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. I mean, a lot of kind of titans of the American right, of the Western right in general. And at some point, she just turned. I don't claim to have all the answers there, but what I do know is that what comes out of her mouth on a seemingly daily basis is utterly deranged to the point of just being a Kafka-esque farce. Unfortunately, that has some real ramifications, as we saw with the lunatic who was arrested for issuing death threats online against me and three others there.
Yeah.
So I'm still thinking off a little bit, Gabriella, there, but life goes on. Charlie would have wanted us to go on and take this fight forward, and that's what I'm here to do.
Josh, power to you. I think some of those accusations being thrown at you by Candace Owens, it was disgusting to watch online. Well done with how you've been able to handle it. Now, let's talk about Argentina's president, Javier Milei. He's won decisive victories in the midterm elections. It strengthens his hand to push through sweeping economic reforms. The election was widely seen as a referendum on Milei's past 2 years in office, and his party scored more than 40% of votes compared with 31% of votes, so exceeding analysts' projections. Josh, what did you make of the result?
Well, I think it's interesting, Gabrielle, when you juxtapose Javier Milei's clear success in Argentina thus far with everything else going on in South America and perhaps Latin America more generally. So the South American continent, unfortunately, right now is something of a left-wing catastrophe. You have Nicolas Maduro, who is a Chinese-Iranian plant, a dyed-in-the-world Castro-esque communist there in Venezuela. In Brazil, in the not-so-distant past, you had Jair Bolsonaro, one of the anchors of the global right. Now he's been replaced by Lula da Silva, who is another kind of Chinese puppet, a far-left actor there in the largest country in all South America. And in Colombia, which in the post-Pablo Escobar, post-Cocaine Cowboys era was actually one of the linchpins, one of the anchors of America's geopolitical strategy in South America. Colombia is now run by a puppet of the drug cartels, a puppet who effectively called for Donald Trump's death in a much widely circulated clip here in the U.S. recently. So South America is a mess, with the seeming exception of Argentina, which is really, really good news because Argentina was run by left-wing Peronists, by socialist economic thinkers for a very long time. So Milei has been able to achieve a lot in a very short period of time. Now, it's true, they took something of a bailout from the United States there, so it hasn't been done entirely of their own accord there. But due to the U.S. support and due to a lot of their own policies, the country has demonstrably improved on many key core economic metrics when it comes to jobs, wages, GDP per capita, things like that there. And the voters are currently rewarding him there. So I think when you juxtapose again what's happening there in Buenos Aires with the rest of the Chinese Communist Party's sprawling sphere of influence in South America, you kind of see this dueling visions, this dichotomy between the American sphere of influence and the Chinese sphere of influence. And the voters seem to be gravitating, it seems to me, towards the American vision, not the Chinese vision.